Hey everybody, how's it going? How you doing? And welcome back to my humble abode that is this channel and is this couch. I just want to say real quick before we get into today's topic that I want to thank everybody who's been patient enough to not only watch these, but wait for these videos every month or so that I upload them. I have a full-time job, so I can't put as much into these videos as I really want to. So I apologize if these videos aren't as frequent as either of us would like them to be, but it's really all I can handle right now. But no one has complained, at least not to my face, so I am grateful for everybody. I continue to gain subs and views, so I just wanted to thank everybody who's been patient enough. I love all of you, old and new. Also, if you'd like to see some controversial takes on some random ass Batman shower thoughts that only I think of, hop on over to my last video. It didn't do too hot, so I really want to see what more people actually think about it. I also worked really hard on it, so yeah, if you just want to go see it, go ahead and hop on over. But wait until this video's done. Watch this full video first. No, don't click off, don't click off. You'll never know what the antidote is if you click off. Okay. So it's actually a gallon of donkey cum. So today's topic is going to be a tad bit different and a little bit darker than some stuff that I usually cover. Well, I have covered YouTubers a couple of times and have even covered abusive shitty YouTubers. This one is a whole different ballgame. The YouTuber that we're talking about today is like the Michael Jordan of horrible influencers. Like the three-pointer from the half court while having the flu with a broken toe, kneecapped by the mafia, 3 spleen kicks from a horse, cones falling out and flopping around everywhere, and you're still making them baskets. Michael Jordan of villains of the internet. And this person is someone you've probably definitely heard of lately, at least in some capacity, by the name of Ruby Franke. Now, Ruby, if you don't know, is the creative force behind a YouTube family channel called 8 Passengers. And it's honestly just kind of typical of what you'd expect from like family vlogging YouTubers. I mean, it's just kind of like the typical shit like family vlogs, vacation vlogs, pranks, openly admitting you abuse your son, family tips. Wait, what was that last part? What, family tips? I meant like advice tips, you pervert. What? No, what? What? I meant the abuse thing, you stupid fucking idiotic, goddamn pathetic, mindless, worthless, waste of space, third nipple having, tiny balls, baby eating, no bitches having, small cocked freak show looking, one eye having, no dick having, homunculus of a human being. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? So anyway, this channel 8 Passengers is no longer even on YouTube. Like, it was completely taken off before I could even see what was really in it. Well, gosh darn, I guess I'll never get to give her some ad revenue. Like growing some corn in a water basin? Well, shucks. You need to leave! But since this information that we're going to talk about has come out, I've just seen like clip after clip after clip of like the reddest of fucking flags.
Got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry, and hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
Okay, red flag, everybody.
Because then she's not going to learn from the natural outcome. My hope is that she'll be hungry and come home and go, oh man, that was really painful being hungry all day.
Red flag, everybody.
And while I do like to make jokes and make my videos kind of fun and lighthearted, this video is about a very serious and very real topic. And I really don't want anybody to take this video as me like laughing at all the horrible crimes or anything that were committed. I especially don't want anybody to think that I'm laughing at the victims. That's not what this is about. Like, if I'm laughing at anything, it's like the absolute ridiculousness of the horrible scale of the shit that she did. Like, I'm laughing about this horrible cretin thinking that she could get away with treating her children like fucking war prisoners. She deserves absolutely everything that she's getting, and she's a monster who deserves to be locked away forever. All right, we all good here? We all get the message? All right, let's continue. So this Ruby bitch had this channel with 8 other members of her family, which includes her husband and their 7 children. Now, if you're following along with the math here, you might be thinking, wait, 7 children? 2 plus 6 is 8, not 2 plus 7. What are you talking about? If it's her husband, and 7 kids, that's 9. That doesn't make sense. And no, I do mean 7 children. One of them includes Sherry Franke, which is their daughter who has been estranged from them for years for an unknown reason. Until now, so I gotta do an apology. So I don't know why, but I thought that Sherry had been separated from the family for a lot longer, and I thought that she was an additional child who may or may not have shown up in the videos, but I guess that she was actually one of the children who showed up in the videos frequently until she left. So yeah, I don't know why I thought that Sherry had been estranged from her family for a lot longer. Maybe I read it somewhere, I don't know, but yeah. So basically, she's been a part of it the whole time until she decided to leave in 2022. So yeah, that's it. Back to the video. Now, this next part does require a trigger warning because I'm going to be talking about some pretty graphic details of child abuse. If you really can't handle anything like that, I want you to click off this video. As much as I want you to be here, don't traumatize yourself. So you've probably seen the headlines, but Ruby and her friend Jody, who we'll get into later, have just been arrested for second-degree felony child abuse. They were apparently arrested for beating, starving, and keeping their children captive inside of the house that Ruby shared with her friend Jody for over a year. But Ruby has actually been under fire for her extremely strict parenting style well before her arrest.
And my kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
If you cut one more thing in my house, I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off.
Grandma will be so mad.
Say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
But their crimes were recently found out because one of their children, a 12-year-old boy, literally escaped through a window, ran to a neighbor's house begging for food and water. But the neighbor obviously called the police, and Ruby and her friend Jody were finally arrested. And you may be wondering why I said finally arrested, so let me explain. So Sherry, the estranged daughter that I mentioned earlier, is actually a big part of the story because she, along with several of her neighbors, had been reporting this suspicious and dangerous behavior for literally months. She also was obviously a victim of her mom's abuse until she finally decided to leave, which is why she was estranged from the family. But the police basically just brushed them off until the kid finally escaped and they were forced to do their jobs when the neighbor called them, even admitting that they never wrote reports because it wasn't required by the agency. So if anybody's the hero of this story, it's Sherry, the neighbors, and the kid who escaped and ran. Not the police who kept ignoring their pleas for help for 3 years.
And the police. Not now, Ice Cube.
But it's the people who endured the abuse, escaped, and the neighbors who kept reporting regardless of the police incompetency. Police standing around doing nothing while people are being brutalized? Shocker. Never seen that happen before. But in regards to the 8 Passengers channel, after people started to kind of catch wind of Ruby's abusive behavior, she decided to move on over to a different channel with her friend and business partner Jody Hildebrandt called Connections. And Jody Hildebrandt is the full name of the woman that Ruby was living with and also imprisoning her kids with. Wait a minute, I thought the Bible said you shouldn't live together unless you're married. Damn, that's crazy. Crazy how cherry picking to fit your insane agenda works. Also, when I was Googling things to do research, I discovered that Connections is a full-blown cult, and I say that with full confidence. And I'm sure that doesn't shock a single person. The very first thing that came up was a paid course membership for education, and of course it's based on the Bible. You got to pay me the monies to learn about the Jesus. And this website, of course, is full of crimson red flags, basically telling you to teach your kids that the world is out to get them and you're the only one that they can trust. That they need to be afraid of all the people out there trying to make them sin and lust and dance with the devil. And of course, it's available at a low, low price of $200. And that doesn't even include the book. Do you know how much gas I could get for $200? Like 3 tanks worth. This world is going to shit. By the way, this course was created by somebody who has a master's in educational psychology too. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows how to manipulate and brainwash. This is a classic tactic used by cults to make you fear the outside world, and you're the only saving grace they can get. Only through Jody Hildebrandt can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi. Now back to Ruby. One of the reasons that she changed channels, other than finding a like-minded cultist in Jody, was because of her husband. You've probably even asked yourself at some point during this video, where the hell's the dad been in all this? Well, according to a statement released around the time that Jody and Ruby were arrested, he's not been living with his wife for over a year, which, if I'm not mistaken, is around the time that Ruby joined Jody in Connections. That's a little bit suspicious. So from what I can tell, basically after this dude got fed up with all this bullshit and wasn't able to portray the close-knit Mormon family that she wanted, she decided to move her and her kids in with Jody to try to maintain some kind of semblance of that happy bullshit family. It's all about the image, but the breakdown of that image probably didn't sit well with her narcissistic need to look perfect.
What? No, dude!
So she snapped even further and dug deeper into her warped sense of reality, becoming an even bigger monster and warping reality so much so that it just justified what she needed to do. Well, I hurt them because they're misbehaving. Why are they misbehaving? Because they're making me angrier than I already am. And why am I already angry? Because my husband left me. It's everyone else's fault because it can't be my fault.
I am a god! You 3 are trash!
And it just gets more extreme because, well, she's isolated herself and her children, so nobody can step in. The husband is gone, and now the only other person in the house other than the kids is also a fucking psycho. And this isn't some kind of excuse for her actions. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This is for all the people that kind of ask, like, how could you do these kind of things? How can you be this cruel? Well, this is how. It's just this like insane loop of justification that grows more and more cruel and really just more insane. I've said before that narcissists don't need a reason, but it's not really true. I mean, it's not that, at least. It's really that narcissists just don't need a sane reason. They just need any reason, no matter how fucked up it is, as long as it makes sense to them. They're all that matters, so their opinion is all that matters. So that's kind of how this happens. So I just want to say, for anybody that thinks that they might even be going down this kind of loop, please voice that to other people. Don't just kind of like let it sit in your mind and stew into this weird feedback loop. Hold yourself accountable, obviously, but don't be afraid to also let other people hold you accountable. As human beings, we should always be reevaluating our thoughts on things. Why do I think this way should be a phrase that you'd at least think about every so often. From things from like movies to politics to your favorite color, like why do I think this way is very important. It helps you like really dig deep and see like the reasons behind why you have a certain thought pattern, and if that may seem odd to you, then you should reevaluate it. Why do I think this way can be one of the biggest keys to empathy, and empathy stops this kind of thing from happening. If there's anything that you remember from this video, it's just please have empathy. I know that this is probably an obvious kind of thing to state, but sometimes it's good to just have a reminder. And to round off this video, I just want to send out like a huge virtual hug for any child who's been through this kind of horrendous trauma. I personally was very fortunate to have very loving and very understanding parents, but I do realize that I am in a very fortunate situation. And I want to really highlight to people who don't have that kind of safety net that you're not alone. I know a lot of people, probably most people that I know, who didn't have that. I have friends that were shunned and isolated by their either religious or just kind of closed-minded families from things from like sexuality to just personal like political beliefs. And unfortunately, it's extremely common and just so shitty. So I want to tell you people who do feel and experience this kind of thing that you're really not alone. And I also want to say to the people who are going through something like what Ruby's kids are going through, even if it's not as severe as that, you're not alone either. And for the people whose nightmare isn't over and they're still actively living in this kind of situation, please tell somebody. If you don't feel like that you have a trusted adult that you can tell at the very least, I'll put up some crisis lines right here. And I understand that even after saying this, some people still won't feel safe like they can do anything, but I do encourage you to talk to somebody at the very least. Even if it's not a therapist or a school counselor or whatever, you can still talk to just somebody in general that you trust. Having somebody there for you can make the world of a difference. But I just wanted to say that you will survive and you will prosper. I promise. All right, so that's going to be it for today. I hope that wasn't too depressing. Like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a little bit of a darker episode, so thank you for sticking with me. I hope that wasn't too sad. I hope I made you laugh, and I will see you when I do this again. Bye.